welcome to Would I Lie to You, the show where lies win the prize. On David Mitchell's team tonight, a comedian recently voted one of the 100 most powerful women in Britain. Yes, not only is she hilarious, she can also toss a caber and drag a tractor using just her teeth. It's Sarah Millican. And a comedian who is famous for his compulsive obsessive disorder. And yes, I said that the wrong way round on purpose, just to unnerve him. It's John Richardson. And on Lee Mack's team tonight, he's the comedy legend that gave us the anarchic Shooting Stars. We're no strangers to anarchy here. David Mitchell's not even wearing a tie tonight. It's Bob Mortimer. He's the Homeland star who left Birmingham to go to Hollywood, but says one day he wants to return. Oh, he is a good actor. It's David Harewood. And so we begin with round one, Home Truths, where our panellists read out a statement from the card in front of them. Now, to make things harder, they've never seen the card before, so they've no idea what they'll be faced with. And it's up to the opposing team to sort the fact from the fiction. OK, Bob, you're first up tonight.
Thank you. I once set fire to my house with a box of fireworks.
David Mitchell's team.
Was this on purpose?
It was done out of ignorance.
What age were you?
I was somewhere around about 7.
I want to know where you grew up, where a 7-year-old can buy a box of fireworks.
I bought them in the shop near where I lived in Middlesbrough. It was a box for 2 and 6 of Standard fireworks. That was the brand.
Standard brand. That sounds exciting. Standard fireworks. Yeah. A normal level of excitement will be endangered. Yeah. For a bonfire night, you will forget.
But it says Standard, but then it's...
Well, that is standard for a firework.
Yeah. So you're in your home, and you're 7 or 8 years old.
I'm 7 and I'm on my own, yeah.
On your own?
Yeah, and on one of the fireworks, I think it was the sparklers, it said, not suitable for indoor use. Which, at that age, makes you think, that means they're OK.
Could you just not read the word not when you were being...
Did you think not was the brand? Go, oh, lovely. I love that not brand food. It's not for human consumption.
I know that logic that says, well, people have obviously tried them indoors.
I've discovered they're not suitable.
Yeah.
So therefore, I won't use them indoors because I want to live.
If you look at a big firework, it won't say not suitable for indoors. It's obvious.
Yeah. Right.
But on the sparklers, they chose to put it on.
So what happened?
I lit the sparkler. The sparks went into the box of fireworks, a Standard box, and set them off. And I carried the box of fireworks, now beginning to light, into the kitchen, and I threw them into the kitchen. I thought it would be more suitable.
I think you're right. The kitchen, of all the rooms, is the most suitable for fireworks, isn't it?
Because of the oven, the gas, the stove, there is fire naturally in the kitchen.
Yeah, there's a lot of... And there's more... It's more wipe down.
Yes.
Less cloth.
So what happened then?
They went off in the
What was the sound like? Was it bing, wee?
No, these were only Standard. And, I remember, as I'm sat here now, wiping the scorch marks off the floor and thinking that my mum's going to kill me.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be in big trouble. Then I went back into the living room. Unbeknownst to me, I dropped one. And the living room was completely engulfed in flames.
It sounds to me that if you're on your own at home at 7, your mum's pretty laid back anyway.
She said, son, will you sit here and look after these fireworks? Whilst I go out to the bingo.
So, you lit the sparkler. A spark went into the Standard box.
Yes.
The box starts to go... You go, uh-oh, I must get them into the most suitable room for fireworks.
Yes.
Kitchen. No need to go beyond the kitchen to the outdoors.
Yeah. Mum said don't go out.
It's good to know there was at least one rule in your house.
What time of day did all this happen?
This happened mid-afternoon.
Oh dear, so you didn't really get the benefit of it.
the fire out.
I went to next door where Miss Best lived. She was, bless her, she's about 80. And I knocked on their door and said, my house is on fire. And she said, do you know, I thought it was.
So what happened then?
She called the fire brigade. They fired their water hoses throughout the house.
Yes.
Ruining it.
Even the rooms where there's no fire.
Not ruining it.
Yeah.
You do know that before they put out fires, it's already ruined, don't you?
Lee.
You're making this house all wet. It was lovely and warm before.
And it's the water damage that knackers the house.
Is it? Not the fire?
Not the fire. If they would use their boots to put it out. Honestly, the entire house, that's it. I was in a family of 4 children, and we were homeless.
Where,
Come on, keep it light.
No, I'm just saying.
where were all the other kids while you were alone with the fire? Why did you take 3
They
children
were looking
out and
after
leave
fireworks in other people's houses.
So when you say you were homeless, how much of the house did the inferno claim?
It's gone. Entire
It's what,
house
the
gone.
whole
house gone. Yeah.
The whole house burnt
Whole
down.
house burnt down.
So how much did you leave in the living room? The fireworks in the kitchen have only caused a few scorches.
Yeah.
What did you leave in the living room?
And now, don't you feel stupid for saying standard fireworks?
Yeah.
I tell
Not
you,
really.
well,
I think you were stupid.
They
Like a sparkler indoors.
If you don't know what you dropped in the living room, is there a chance that it's just a coincidence?
No, it could be.
That it might not have been your fault?
That's what I said to the press.
Your fault?
Press? What press? Who did you speak to?
Local press.
Because they came to the house while it was burning?
Yeah, you know, they're their hats on, trilbies, sniffing around.
With those little bits of paper in the notebook? Yeah. Were they called things like Scoop McLean?
I believe he was called Ron Waffle.
Sorry, Ron Waffle.
It was either him, the other ace reporter on the Gazette was John Caramel. It was one of them two.
Caramel and Waffle.
Honestly.
The question is whether you think Bob has been telling the truth.
Well, I thought it seemed very plausible until we heard about caramel and waffle.
I think he thinks he's telling the truth, but I think what's happened at some point, he's seen a film in which this has happened.
He saw Backdraft.
And is now convinced that it happened to him. I think it's a lie.
Sarah.
I was going to say I want it to be true, but that sounds really horrible. I think it might be true.
Well, I think it's true. I think it's true.
So you're going to go for true?
Yeah.
OK, Bob, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
I was telling the truth.
Oh.
Yes, it's true. Bob once set fire to his house with a box of fireworks. John, you're next.
When I'm stressed, I often take a water-free bath.
Water-free baths, Lee and his team.
Do you get undressed?
No.
Do you just sit in the bath?
Well, I lie in the bath.
Oh, of course, because you want to get the imaginary water all over your body, don't you? Do you imagine there's water in the bath, or does your mind accept it's not there?
No, you know it's not there. I'm not an idiot.
I know it's not there.
Do you have a hovering duck?
How long do you spend in this position?
Well, it depends on how stressed I am. If I'm very stressed, I'll be in there a long time. If I'm only a little bit stressed, I'll pop in and I'll pop out again.
But what's the benefits? I don't see what is stress relieving.
Well, a bath is stress relieving, isn't it? But then it's quite a faff, isn't it? Running the water, taking your clothes off, then you're wet. You can't go out when you're wet, so you've got to dry yourself. Then you've got to put your clothes back on.
Well,
if
why
you just get in without all that faff, you get all the joy of a bath and none of the fuss.
You're from the north. I bet you've got just an imaginary flannel.
You said that like you're not from the north.
I'm not.
If you say that, then
I've completely converted now.
have you told your accent?
Are you always alone?
Sarah, do you mean in life or in the bath?
Whichever one he wants to answer.
You always should be in the bath alone. I think we'll all agree.
John, do you do any, bath-related things when you're in the non-bath, or do you just shut your eyes and lie there?
Sometimes I'll put my dressing gown on over me or a big towel to...
Over your clothes?
Over your clothes.
Over me. I'll get
in the
into
bath.
the bath.
Oh, in the bath.
Oh, right. Now suddenly got a bit more disturbing.
It's a cafe.
It's stress relief, isn't it? I don't just sit there, like, in the bath, like, you know,
No.
I don't smoke. But
You can have an imaginary cigarette if you're having an imaginary bath. It's fine.
So what are you thinking, Lee? Does this smack of the truth?
What do we think, David?
I think it's total nonsense.
Do you?
Yeah. Putting the thing over your head, I think it would add to the stress as opposed to relieving it. I'm going for a lie.
You're going for a lie.
I'm going for a lie.
Going for a lie in his bath, fully clothed.
Actually, come to think, a fart's not going to be half the fun in this non-bath, is it?
So we're going to say lie.
Lie.
My team say lie, so I have to go with them and say
You're all
lie.
saying it's a lie. OK, John Richardson, were you just telling us the truth, or were you telling a lie?
it was, sadly, true.
Oh, no.
Let's end the show there. Let's end the show there. We'll have a quick chat with John. We'll bring on Jeremy Kyle and we'll just end it at that.
Yes, it's true. When John is stressed, he has a water-free bath. Our next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. Now, this week, each of Lee's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest, and it's up to David's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Keith. Bob, first of all. Bob, what is Keith to you?
This is Keith. He's my oldest friend, and when we were at school together, we hid a dictaphone in the classroom ceiling to confuse our teacher.
David Harewood?
This is my old teacher, Keith. I once had to claim I wasn't me when I met him in a cafe, as I was in character preparing for Homeland.
And finally, Lee, your relationship with Keith.
This is Keith and his hawk. Yes. Yes. I'll admit, David, it's a difficult start. Well, go with it. Yeah. This is Keith. And his hawk was supposed to land on my arm at a village fete, but instead stole the wig from the man next to me and flew off into a tree.
So there we are. It's Bob's classroom prankster, it's David's blanked buddy, or it's Lee's hawk handler. David's team, where do you start?
So, yes, David, he was a teacher at your school.
Very briefly.
What, a whole lesson?
I mean, I don't know if... I would see him.
But he didn't teach you?
No, not teach
He was
me.
someone who hung around a school, and he was... Charitably, you assumed he was a teacher.
But if he was at the school a short period of time, how did you even recognise him in the cafe?
Oh, I knew it was him. He walked into the cafe and he said, "Hi, David," and basically I blanked him. It was literally the month before I went to America when I was doing Homeland, and I'd just been to see my dialect coach. He basically said I have to stay in my American voice. So
Could you not have explained that to him in your American voice? I'm sorry, buddy, but I'm doing a roll here.
I don't think it was ever as good as that, John, to be fair.
I basically just had to say I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm remembering you now. Do the voice a bit more
I
straight.
said I don't know what you're talking about.
Ooh, that did weird things to me.
So your dialect coach said, you're in this role, you need to stay in this character.
Yeah.
Now the lesson's over, let's go to a very public place.
Yeah.
We're likely to encounter several people.
Well, that's what you have to do. You have to stay in that voice. You have to have the confidence to stay in your voice.
Why can't you just, like, turn it on like an actor?
Oh, that's a cheap shot, Sarah.
I have to say I did phone him up afterwards and apologise.
So you had his number?
You stayed in touch with the teacher you barely remember.
Would it be fair to say the hawk's looking a bit more plausible?
So, David, who would you like to question next?
Bob, remind us of your allegation.
When we were at school together, we hid a dictaphone machine in the ceiling tiles to interrupt the lesson.
So not to record, but to play stuff?
Yeah.
What sort of stuff?
Well, it was important to keep a gap at the beginning, so we let it run, for about 15 minutes. And then there was the noise of a fly. For a brief period, then another period, to confuse the teacher.
Where would you get the noise from the fly? You'd make the noise.
We'd make the noise ourselves,
Let's hear
I'm
your
not paying
fly
for no
noise.
fly to do it.
Let's hear your fly.
You know,
It does sound like a fly.
Can I hear you bee?
we didn't do a bee.
Do you know how to do bee? Just like that fly.
Oh
little
no,
bit louder.
it's more wholesome if it's a bee, isn't it?
Show me the difference, David.
Well, I don't know. I'm not.
Do
well,
it.
I'd say okay. A bee would be a sort of a foot.
No, that's a
Whereas a
bumblebee.
fly is
Yeah. Very good. That's good.
Right,
Very
it is
good.
right.
Do you see the way he just slipped straight in and out of character?
So you.
So yes, there
hide
was
it.
silence,
Yeah.
then a little bit of fly, silence, a little bit of fly, and then quite loudly, but not to frighten anyone, the word wolf. Then more silence. Yeah. Bit more silence. Then
Yeah.
Speedway Stadium. Like that.
Speedway Stadium.
Do you know, the idea was just to say kind of random things. He was a really nice teacher called Bill Whitlingham.
How did Bill Whitlingham react to these random sounds?
Well, Mr. Whitlingham left the room and said, "Can you sort this out by the time I've gone back?" So whatever it is that's going on. And there was a cupboard in the corner where, interestingly, it had like exercise books in it, pens and that, but it also had, in a little cage, a hand lion, which is a robotic, it's a battery-operated thing.
Are you just saying any words that come into your head in any order? Right.
It's a hand lion, and if
A hand lion.
it's a robotic, animatronic hand lion, yeah. And if you'd been particularly good, he would put it on your hand and set it to lick it. Lick it. If you'd been particularly...
Was this like a clockwork lion?
No, it was remote control.
It was remote control.
Remote control. He had the controller in his desk, and he said, "You've
the
been
actual
such a
hand
good boy.
lion-
Get out the hand lion, and you'll get a lick." And if you'd been bad, you put him on your hand and you strike. He'd strike at your hand.
So the hand lion had two settings. It could lick or it could strike.
Yes, good boy, bad boy.
Right. Very
Good boy,
sensible.
bad boy. Now, the only problem with it, of course, was...
What, this story?
It would... The only problem was, of course, if the batteries got low, it would get constipated. No, anyway, but in this cupboard, so we got up on the cupboard.
You climb onto the cupboard that
Yes.
the hand lion is housed in.
Probably asleep.
Right. You reach up onto the ceiling tile,
Take out the dictaphone.
switch it off.
Yep.
Mr. Whitlingham
Yes.
comes back in.
Yes.
What happens?
He's nervously awaiting another, edict from above.
Yeah.
Doesn't come. We carry on with the lesson. British government and politics it was.
There was a
what was
lesson called British Government and Politics.
Yeah.
Whole
British-
year on that.
2 years. It was A level.
For these sixth formers,
Yes.
a hand lion. A hand lion that can either lick or strike was what was used to express praise or the opposite to these 17 or 18-year-old students.
And it was very effective.
All right. Would you like to move on to the final claim?
So, Lee, tell the story about Keith.
I was at Village Fete, and
Why were you at a village fete?
I was helping out.
What village?
Thames Ditton.
Why were you helping out at Thames Ditton Fete?
Because I don't live too far away from there, and they asked me to help out, and I did a few little things, like I did a bit of tombola, a bit of announcing. Then I went over to judge the pig racing. The usual things you do at a fete, you know.
The pig racing?
Yeah. I don't know why I judged it, because surely first past the post, but...
Well, no,
I was doing a case of a dead heat.
and what happened with the hawk and Keith and the wig?
One of the things I had to do was to volunteer to stand there and learn. He had the little headpiece on where he'd teach the crowd basic falconry, I believe we call it. I stick the glove on and then hold this little thing. I don't know what it was, but I'm doing this. I'm
A
a bit
small
nervous.
morsel of meat.
Thank God you've been to one, because I haven't. I'm holding a small morsel of meat. Then what happens? And then
Then the swan comes
the
down.
swan came down. So the hawk comes over, right? It comes over. There's a person missing from this story, and it's the mayor, right? The local mayor. I can't say it in I always
Mayor.
The mayor.
The mayor, right? The
So
mayor
you're
of London.
standing next to a horse.
Yeah, so the local... So the mayor is doing his bit, but the mayor has got a wig on, right? The hawk flies over to go and land on my hand, but he lands on the mayor's head, and so he gets caught up in his what should we call them? Talons. He gets caught up in the talons, and then in the sort of panic, the bird sort of... And he can't release this wig, and he flies off, and he goes into the tree. I said, why didn't he go for the meat? And he said, I genuinely think the gold chain caught his eye. There was a bit of confusion for a second, and he just did a bit of an emergency landing on a mayor's wig at Thamesden Fate. What's there not to believe?
At that point, did you cry, oh no, the mayor's hers over there?
All right, so David's team is Keith, Bob's classroom prankster, David's blanked buddy, or Lee's hawk handler.
I was believing Bob until the fact that he was 18 and the hand lying. I'm leaning towards David.
I think I'm leaning towards David.
I think it's Bob, and I think he panicked because he knew we were onto him, so he went on a ridiculous riff about a hand line to throw us off the scent. I'll go Bob, but I've been wrong before.
Sarah?
I'm gonna go David.
We'll go David.
You're saying David. Keith, please reveal your true identity.
My name's Keith, and Bob and I recorded voices and hid the dictaphone in the ceiling.
Yes. Keith is Bob's classroom prankster.
I would never have believed all that stuff about a hand line was completely true.
Thanks very much, Keith.
Thank you.
Which brings us to our final round, quickfire live. We start with... It's Sarah Milliken.
Possession.
There's a box under your desk. Would you pop it on the desk? And then, first of all, read out the card that's inside before you show us what the possession is.
This is my cat cam. I put it around my cat's neck for a week to film what it got up to because I believed it was him who kept turning the kitchen tap on.
Okay, let's take this item out and pop it on the desk. Right, Lee's team, cat cam.
So you're saying that you thought the cat might be turning the tap on?
Yes.
Well, we know it wasn't John. So you put the cat cam on the cat for how
Yes.
long?
For, well, generally like an hour at a time, but while I was out.
So the cat's clever enough not to be turning this tap on when you're in?
Well, yeah, because I would just see him doing it and then I would know it was him.
If he could do the tap, were you not worried that he could turn the camera off?
No, because the tap's like one of those ones where that's quite fiddly.
And how do you see the picture? You connect it to a computer?
Yeah, it's
Is there
just
a
got
USB
a
on there?
USB thing, yeah.
Oh, I see, okay.
You attach it to the computer, and how long you watching? An hour at a time?
Well, you fast forward it. I'm not sitting
Oh, just the
watching...
highlights. You're doing the highlights.
Yeah.
Go on. The big question is:
Was it the cat?
Not so far, but it's still
Somebody's
sort of
turning the taps on when you go out of the
It's
house.
kind of a work in progress. So
when you come
I hope
back.
he's not watching, because then
Don't worry. Turn this off. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why didn't you attach the camera to the tap?
Oh. Thank you.
What's the name of your cat, Sarah?
It's called Chief Brody.
And the personality, is he a scratcher?
He is a scratcher.
On bits of
On
furniture?
Arms. Of,
Yeah. Well, that's not so much of a worry. It's the furniture is more the thing, isn't it?
Is it?
Thanks.
Can I ask why you're so worried about the cat turning the taps on when you've got something in your house that's attacking you? I wouldn't mind if
but
it
he's
turned the
still
tap on
lovely.
if it's scratching my face.
Well, that's because you're not a cat lover.
No, but I don't like things that scratch.
Well, don't get a cat then.
Am I the weirdo here?
We have a show of hands. Yes.
That's so lovely to hear, because usually it's me.
What colour is your cat, Sarah?
Ginger.
Pink collar or ginger cat? Would you?
It's red. It's not
Would
pink.
you? Pink.
It's red.
Oh, please, it's pink.
It's red. Shut your face.
Red and ginger, devil's finger. That's what they say.
Who says that?
It says that.
They do.
Is that what your mum used to
And they're
say?
still saying it.
So what do you think, Lee? Is she telling the truth?
What do we think, Bob?
I'm saying it's a lie.
You're saying it's a lie. David's saying it's...
Possibly true.
Well, I'll lie.
OK, you're saying lie. Sarah, truth or lie?
It is a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Sarah didn't put a cat cam on her cat. Next. It's David Harewood.
I can balance a banknote on my nose.
When did you first find this out?
When I was about 13.
Is it flat or is it sort of like that?
It's on its kind of on its
On its edge.
yes, and I would balance it on like that.
Is that straight
like
up?
that?
Yes. Yeah.
On your
kind of-
nose?
Kind of like that.
So that the end of
Yes.
the note
Yes.
is along your nose there,
Yeah.
going upwards.
Yes.
And what's your technique for... Because I imagine the problem with that is that the note would immediately fall off. What's
I
your
have to kind
technique
of-
for preventing that?
Zen.
Zen.
Is that a type of glue? What do you think, David? Does this have the ring of truth for you?
I don't think it does. I think it's an odd mixture of something that would be impossible and not that impressive anyway.
So what do you think?
we think it's a lie.
I think it's a lie.
Lie.
Three
I
of
think
you,
it's
all
a
three of
lie.
you think it's a
Yeah.
lie. OK. David Harewood. Truth or lie?
It is true.
Whoa!
That Rob John know now.
Yes, it's true.
Whoa. You pulled that out at just the right time for us. Cheers, mate.
I have to stand up for this.
All right, please do.
Here we go.
Take your time, milk it. Very impressive. Yes, it's true. Oh, and that noise signals time is up. It's the end of the show. And I can tell you that Lee's team have triumphed by 3 points to 2. But of course, it's not just a team game. And my individual liar of the week this week is Bob Mortimer. Yes, Bob Mortimer. If you were looking for an effortless liar, then Bob's your uncle. At least he says he's your uncle. He's probably lying about that too. Good night.